All right, Andy Carson is in Baker City this morning as part of Andy's Adventures. He has our first live local forecast. Andy, good morning.
Good morning, ladies. Yeah, we came out here on Sunday, and we met up with a couple of guys. In fact, we have some video. They run an organization. Their names are Dan and Pat, and they run an organization called Go Wild Adventures. And they do all kinds of adventures of all sorts over here in Eastern Oregon, from a multi-day backpacking trip to just some shorter trips. And they're going to continue to expand and things like that. Fairly new company, interesting guys. They're both from this area. In fact, they went to high school together. They went on to their own ways to different types of education. In fact, the gentleman that originally started this, Dan, he lived in South Korea for a year. Pat also went to culinary school, and so they have a very interesting background. And then they love the outdoors because they grew up here. So they were able to do all kinds of things. They missed it while they were gone and came back, and they started this company, and they just really want to share their passion for what's available out here for folks to do. So we found them online, and in fact, eventually we'll get a link to their website on our website, kptv.com, and you can probably join in. I'm sure you can join in on some of their adventures. It's a somewhat seasonal right now. It's probably towards the end of their season, but they'll be picking it back up as we get into the spring and summer of next year, and you'll be ready to go. And we'll share 3 of those adventures we did with them coming up as we go out throughout the morning here.
All right, it is time to check in with Andy Carson now. He's in Baker City for Andy's Adventures. Good morning, Andy.
Good morning, ladies. So a little while ago, you met Dan and Pat, right? Remember those guys from Go Wild Adventures? So we went to Anthony Lakes, which is about 45 minutes from here in Baker City. We have a little bit of video to show you. And ladies, we did what's called a gourmet hike, okay?
My kind of hike.
So you see, there we are, making our way up there. So one of the things you'll notice is I'm just walking along with nothing on my back. I'm not carrying a thing. Those guys have these giant backpacks, and they have all kinds of extra stuff in there, and that's part of the deal. They might have you carry a little bit of something here and there, depending on how long the hike is and how far you go. But you can see just beautiful scenery up there. As we went on our hike, I think we saw 2 other people. And then, do you see that right there? That's homemade sourdough bread. Yes.
Yummy.
Pat is the gentleman with the beard. They've got a local brew that's just down the street, Barley Brown. They packed that in, and then there's salami as well as cheese that they brought in from other local areas. And then guess what else they had?
What?
Beet quinoa.
Oh, right up your alley.
Beet quinoa salad. Yes, right there.
Andy,
So
when you get
I
thirsty,
didn't even tell them.
When you get thirsty, do they hold the water bottle up to your precious little mouth and give you a drink? Is that...
We edited that part out. Yeah.
Okay.
And when I started to sweat a little bit, I got a piggyback ride on the way back down as well. Yeah. so yeah, that was just one of 3 things that we did with Dan and Pat from Go Wild Adventures. We'll share the other 2 coming up in just a little bit. But no, it was fun and really nice. It's for the spoiled folks.
Time to check in with Andy Carson. He's in Baker City for Andy's Adventures. Andy, we took the family there a few years ago, and it's just a really incredible place to visit. So many things to do.
Oh. It is, yeah. I love Baker City. Eastern Oregon in general has just been one of my favorite places. Haven't had as much opportunity to explore here as I've wanted, and so we were able to combine a couple things. Fun stuff. So you met the guys earlier that are on this adventure, took us on the adventure, Dan and Pat Go Wild Adventure. And so earlier we did the gourmet backpacking. Now we do a little fishing, and this is something they're actually going to start new for next year. We actually used a rowboat here, as you can see, to do a little fishing. This is up at one of the lakes at Anthony Lakes. There's about 10 different lakes up there. This was Grand Ron Lake, and we went out there. What they'll do next year is they'll have hike-ins with the tubes and go out and be fishing from an inner tube or from a small raft. But we were able to look how beautiful and just peaceful it was. There were one other group there of like just a couple, and so we had the whole lake to ourselves basically, and just a nice setting. A lot of trout in there, and sure enough, just like on my backpacking, I didn't carry a thing. I also didn't hook a fish, but my buddy Dan did, and then he let me reel it in. And it's just chock full of trout, as I mentioned earlier. So able to go ahead and, with the fly fishing rods, bring in this trout. And we brought it right up to the shore there. Nice little fighter. And then, of course, you know, it's like I was out fishing with my grandpa. He took the hook out. We released it, but we had success. So that's yet another one of the little adventures you can do. And just getting there was so cool and so peaceful and quiet. And it was really, really amazing. And one of the things Mike and I talked about, we'd just be there like, can you believe how quiet it is? There's the noisiest thing going was the clicks of his camera when he was taking still pictures out there. So thanks again to those guys. You can find a link to their website and our website, kptv.com.
Hi, Andy.
Hello, ladies. I've got the town square right here, which I think that always makes a town if you have a great town square. So you mentioned earlier the adventures, and we did hook up with a couple of guys. They've got a company called Go Wild American Adventures. It's Pat and Dan. Actually, Dan started it, and Pat works along with him. And we did one of their adventures, and it is the stargazing tour that they have. And we just did the stargazing part. The way they actually have it set up is it's where they have wine while they do the stargazing, and it all starts out at a local winery here in town. They have people join there. They do a wine tasting, and then they pick their favorite couple of bottles. They take it up at this high point up at Anthony Lakes, which is actually almost the top part of Anthony Lakes, and they set stuff up. They sip on some wine, and they watch as skies get completely filled with the stars. And you know, we were so lucky to be able to see these stars because it was smoky here for several days leading up to that. Cleared out just in time. We were a little bit nervous about all of that, but it's one of those things where we don't realize in so many cases, especially in the Portland metropolitan area, with all the lights, city lights that we have, the light pollution, you get out there on top of the mountain, no lights anywhere except for the stars. And Mike, you said I mean, you were into this, and you've like probably in the top 5 best places you've ever seen as far as that is concerned. And he's gone on backpacking trips and all that kind of stuff out in the middle of nowhere. So yeah, it was great. Those guys were fantastic, and it was a super time. And I encourage you, if you can, we have a full package where we put all this together, all the adventures together with these guys that will be airing during More Good Day Oregon today. You get a lot more insight and things of that nature from those guys, so hopefully you can stay around and watch that.
Well, the great state of Oregon offers plenty of spots to hike and fish, and today, as our own Andy Carson is out exploring, he came across a spot or two to do just that. Here's Andy with some adventures for today.
I'm with Dan here, Go Wild American Adventures, or American Adventures Go Wild. Which is it?
Go Wild American Adventures.
Go Wild! We're going wild. And we made it to right here. Where are we?
We're at Anthony Lakes.
Okay, and tell us a little bit about Anthony Lakes and where that is in the state.
Right. Probably we're in Eastern Oregon, so we're about 30 miles outside of Baker City. So trying to get folks from Portland, Seattle, San Francisco, maybe who haven't gone east of the Cascades to come check out Eastern Oregon and sort of what we have here.
What's been the reaction that you've seen most often?
And that's actually why I started this too, but I think awe, really, like getting out of that car, pulling in here, and maybe it's at night and you just see the whole expanse of skies, the big wide open spaces, and I think it's something you don't get a lot of places.
So what are we going to do today?
Today, we'll start out, we're going to do a gourmet day hike. So we're going to take a little hike, we're going to spread out our food for you, we're going to sample that.
And I didn't carry a thing up here.
Some beet quinoa.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, help yourself.
And then we're going to head over to Grand Ronde Lake, and
Okay.
we're going to get in the boats and do some fly fishing. And that's sort of a teaser for what we're starting up next year. Okay, here we go.
There we go.
Okay, so stand up. Okay, and you're going to take this right from my hand and keep pulling that.
Oh.
There we go. And then you can lift it out of the water. Just the whole pull. There you go. You can grab that. There, yeah.
Yeah! Whoa.
All right. Woo! Then I think if we have time, we're going to head up to the top of Anthony Lakes, the top of the ski area, and hopefully the stars are out by then, and we'll do sort of our starlit wine tasting. And it's pretty cool sipping a glass of wine under the sky.
Guys, thanks so much for the gourmet meal, the hike, and the boating, the fishing, and the stargazing. All we need now is some homemade ice cream on a cold night. With huckleberries.
I dropped my spoon.
Oh, crap!
I love Andy's laugh. Okay, we will check in with Andy again tomorrow as he heads to Joseph, Oregon to try out a little cycling on a railroad. And he's also checking out a tram ride up the